So, ladies and gentlemen, we have quite the packed news roundup today. I haven't done one in like, I don't know, a week or so. But first off, we have to talk about two new trailers to look at for the Flash movie. One that is a Supergirl featurette, and the other being a new promo trailer, which includes some very super interesting scenes, if you know what I mean. We also need to talk about Sasha Calle discussing meeting with Henry Cavill and his response to the Flash movie. This is quite a Flash dump at the minute, because we also then need to talk about Andy Muschietti weighing in on if Ezra Miller would be recast or not in a sequel movie to The Flash. And then speaking of Andy Muschietti, we have a huge hint from him about possibly directing the DCU's Batman Brave and the Bold. But we also have something else to talk about, which just dropped as I was about to make this video, in that the Batman Part 2 filming may have very well been delayed until 2024. So I want to talk about what that means for Part 2 of the Batman, why this could have happened, and could this affect the release date. And of course, there is more to talk about in this video. There's a Clayface movie update, because there always seems to be. So this video is timestamped. Let me get that very clear. If you want to skip one thing, if you want to skip the little reaction at the beginning to the Flash trailers, go ahead into the more news breakdown segments of this video. I just really appreciate you tuning in today. Thank you so much for watching the channel. If you do go on to enjoy it, I'd really appreciate a like, maybe subscribe for more news roundups. We do them quite often here. But first and foremost, let's react and watch together the new Flash clips, the new trailer, and again, spoiler warning, because I've seen people make GIFs of this on Twitter already, and it reveals one or two things. So feel free to skip it if you want, but let's get into this.
What can I get you?
The PB and BRHC on a roll.
Aren't you blessed with a fast metabolism? You running a marathon or something?
Sorry, I'm in sort of a rush for the sandwich.
A robbery gone wrong.
I need you here now.
That's what I saw. That's what I saw. You might have missed it. We'll talk about it. Copyright music. Be gone. Be gone. See, a lot of new footage here.
Now, is that fast enough for you?
It's all surrounding what we've kind of seen before, though.
You can go anywhere.
Right.
Another timeline, another universe. So why do you want to stay and fight to save this one? Because this is the world where my mom lives. I can fix things. You can also destroy everything.
This world must die.
Zod.
If you went back and changed the past,
Oh.
you changed the future.
Okay.
Want some help?
Saw like two flashes running there. Yeah, that was weird. Maybe a speed mirage.
Yeah. I'm Batman.
Okay.
We can fix
More
this.
new footage. Okay, extended footage there.
Nobody dies.
Who was that?
The Flash.
Okay, that was weird editing. I'm just gonna go back to what I meant there. Oh, okay, there's more. Okay. There was like that weird voice at the end where like they awkwardly cut it together. I don't know who it was. Was it Zod saying, "I am"? And then like some moment after that it was like, "The Flash." But it was like two different voices. I don't know if that was meant to be Dark Flash or more likely Zod. You're hearing it right now. Maybe Zod?
The Flash.
Maybe? Maybe? But either way, quick thoughts on this, because I don't really need to go... I've done this the past few news roundup videos. There's quite a lot of new stuff in this. More new than what we even got in the final trailer. Now, this trailer it seems to be some kind of international one again. And at the beginning, we see Barry on his way to work. You see his CSI badge there. He's grabbing a sandwich, and the waiter takes the piss out of him having like a fast metabolism because he's a speedster. But on the TV, ladies and gentlemen, we see none other than Superman right before Alfred calls him to help out, because obviously this is when he gets suited up and then him and Batfleck go ham in Central City. But the interesting thing here is that Superman seen on TV, there's a volcano erupting and we see Superman kind of using his heat vision to carve out an extended, somewhat lava bed, if you will, so it can like go away from the city, because otherwise the lava could go down into the city and cause all kinds of chaos. But Superman, being Superman, is like, right, I'm gonna carve out a way it can like drain out over there. And obviously, yeah, that's meant to be Henry Cavill's Superman. And I think, I could be wrong about this, but we heard that apparently Gal Gadot and apparently Henry Cavill's scenes were cut from the movie. I think this will be the extent of it. I think this is the extent of Henry Cavill's Superman. I would love to be wrong about that, by the way. But yeah, if you want to call this a cameo, I suppose that is the Henry Cavill cameo. But really, you know, it's just a CGI model using his heat vision from behind. But I still do appreciate it. But I know this might be rubbing more salt in the wound for some other fans out there who knew that Henry Cavill could have actually been in this movie a bit more. After that, we see Barry kind of jumping from obstacle to obstacle, somewhat a part of that scene when he's running up the building, but I do like the somewhat flash time perspective that they're giving us. But overall, I don't want to yap on too much more about this. We've got a lot more to cover in today's video, and we've got one more clip to check out, and I've seen little previews of this, so I just want to put it here so all of us can kind of experience it together, and that is a featurette of Sasha Calle's Supergirl. We've had one about Keaton already that I covered in a previous video, so let's get onto that.
When you found me in the hole that they put me in,
The very containment that
why
Supergirl's
did you
in.
help me?
Because you needed help.
See, I remember people were
will
thinking
help
that was
if I can.
Clark.
I think the thing that got me the most excited about being a part of the Flash was just playing a superhero.
Well, then maybe you will need this. You're Supergirl.
Bless him.
Sasha came in with a lot
Andy.
of strengths, and immediately I thought that she was the perfect Supergirl.
I remember graduating college and I did a vision board, and Gal Gadot is on there as Wonder Woman. And now I
That's
feel
cool.
really blessed that I am playing Supergirl.
What's it like to fly?
Hard. I was like, am I getting a stunt double? She yelled from across the room. She's like, oh, you don't need one.
She trained like crazy.
She was very determined and having fun with it.
Wow, going
We've never
re-mode.
seen a character like the Supergirl that we've created.
It's not just the inclusion of Supergirl that is subversive, but also bringing a Supergirl that doesn't look like the Supergirl that everyone knows.
You know what this symbol stands for.
Means hope, right?
I wish I would have had a hero like
So
the
how did you
Supergirl
know
that we've
that?
made when I was little. She is a badass.
That's just a nice featurette. I enjoyed that because I'm really happy for Sasha Calle's Supergirl. Just like her in general, she seems like a really nice person, and you know, she seems so thrilled to be in this role. I know people are already like out there supporting her, wanting to see her in the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow movie. They're like begging James Gunn to kind of keep her character on in the DCU post-Flash movie reset, because don't forget, this is the movie that resets everything into James Gunn's DCU. I'm looking forward to Sasha Calle's Supergirl. I hope, and it looks like she's going to be badass, and I'm very intrigued as to how the fight with Zod's going to go down and everything like that. But she looks like so good in this role. She looks so cool. So yeah, let me know what you guys thought of that. And one more thing before we move on to the next topic, which is still Flash related. We have Hot Toys releasing Batman's iconic crime-fighting gears were integrated perfectly into highly detailed collectibles. Get a first look at the impressive collection of Batsuits that draw from different eras in the Dark Knight's history. Now, in the trailer, you know, people, including myself, have brightened it up, but here we get a really good look. Granted, it's Hot Toys, but these are the suits in the best detail, really, you could want. But yeah, Keaton chooses the middle one, but it's cool to see that these are all the suits he's been using in the decades since we saw him in Batman 89, I guess. And since then, he's come kind of retired, but he comes back and puts on that middle suit for this movie's events. All right, first up in terms of the article breakdowns. Now, this one's going to be a bit of a mini one as we progressively go throughout them, because a lot of people have been talking about what we're about to get into with the next couple of subjects. So this one comes from Entertainment Weekly saying, The Flash's Supergirl star says she got Henry Cavill's seal of approval. Yes, I met him. I met him actually after the movie was done. Months later, I gave him a big hug. You know, it's Henry Cavill, man, our Man of Steel. He is kind and very proper, and it was a great experience. I asked him, did I make you proud, cuz? Does Superman approve? And he was like, absolutely, you did a phenomenal job. I think to me that meant the world because it's Henry Cavill, the Man of Steel. So obviously there's not too much to say here, but it's just kind of cool to know that he saw the movie. They actually got to meet, and she asked him what he thought, and he said that he loved it. Now, I've seen some people say out there on social media, it's like, well, of course Henry Cavill would say that. And, you know, I get what people are saying there, but I'm sure he did see it and saw her in it and really enjoyed her take on it. Because, you know, if you imagine yourself being Henry Cavill, sure, you might have certain opinions about certain things that went down in the past several months, right? With regards to the DCU, maybe him actually having a bit more of an appearance in the Flash movie, perhaps before Barry went back in time. But I do believe, you know, that he was genuine in saying that she did a phenomenal job. It wasn't in this interview when he said that he loved it, but Sasha Calle said in another interview shared by movie journalist Damien and Akashi, Henry already saw the movie and he loved it. So I'm sure he did enjoy it. And from what we've heard, the movie is, I'm sure most people can agree by now, maybe not some people out there, but from what we're hearing, like mostly everywhere, even from people who aren't hardcore DC fans, they will still say, I might not put it as the greatest comic book movie of all time, but it's still pretty damn good. So, yeah, just a little bit of an update on what Henry Cavill thinks of all of this, what he thought of Sasha Kelly's Supergirl. But here's where things get a little bit more interesting. So you may have seen the headlines out there already about how Andy Muschietti says that they will not recast Ezra Miller for a potential sequel to The Flash. And people after that are like, wait, what? Wait, what does this mean? Ezra Miller's staying on? How dare they? Or like, wait, what, does this even make sense? Can Andy Muschietti say that? Well, this is coming from Entertainment Weekly again. So let's read out the full quote of what he said and then break down what this really means. So he says, if a sequel happens, yes. I don't think there's anyone that can play that character as well as they did. The other depictions of the character are great, but this particular vision of the character, they just excelled in doing it. And as you said, the two Barrys, it feels like a character that was made for them. So I have also seen a lot of people have quite a bit to say about how I don't think there's anyone else that could play that character as well as they did, mentioning Grant Gustin, showing the scene of him going back in time, saying goodbye to his mum. And I rewatched that scene. I was like, man, he is my Flash, like no matter what. But he does say immediately after that, the other depictions of the character are great. But this is kind of publicity speak either way. I'm not saying Andy Muschietti is disingenuous in what he said here. I actually believe he believes that. He loves Ezra Miller's performance, and we've heard very good things. Say what you will about Ezra Miller, as I always say, but the acting performance, because Ezra is an actor, is apparently very good as Barry Allen in this movie. Let's get to the larger question of how it's been reframed to saying that Andy says he will not recast Ezra for a potential sequel. He didn't say that outright, but that's what people are deriving from this statement, because you can more or less take that out from it. I don't think there's anyone who can play that character. If a sequel happens, yes, right? Now, the thing is with that, this is still a question that is very relevant and probably won't be answered for a very, very long time. Obviously, Ezra won't be announced to be staying on as the Flash in James Gunn's new DCU before the movie, because that's just a stupid marketing decision and answer to put out there. Hey, lead star of the movie is not going to be the lead star of the Flash in the future, so will you still see our movie? People will still see it, but you get how that can be slightly damaging. So it won't be said before the movie. Now, after the movie, I don't think it will still be said right away. And even with this being said, Andy, of course, will say this, but James Gunn, it's kind of his decision. He is the creative influencer of this new DC universe with mapping it out. And sure, he's going to give, whoever's casting Batman Brave and the Bold so much creative freedom with directing that movie. But with a decision like this, with Ezra Miller and all of the controversy surrounding the actor for like the past couple of years, that's not a decision that Andy can really put his foot down on. That would be James Gunn's decision in the long run. So what I'm trying to get down to is anyone saying, oh, Boba, did you hear that Ezra will not be recast in the future? What you're saying there isn't true. We actually still don't know. This is just Andy's opinion. If he was ever to do a sequel movie, he wouldn't want to recast Ezra. But is that the answer right now? No, we actually won't know for quite a long time, I think. Next up, yes, we're still talking about Andy Muschietti, and this one is super interesting because you may remember that we've been talking about how Andy Muschietti could be directing Batman the Brave and the Bold for a long time. The rumors actually been out there for a while, but we've never had really anything too much concrete to say about it. Now, all while this doesn't confirm it, I 100% believe this low-key confirms, but low-key, that he is in talks and has been in talks, but obviously it's very hush-hush because, you know, Brave and the Bold isn't for a while, and I think this says a lot. So in an interview question from Josh K. Elliott, this is what he asks, and let me know what you think about this if you haven't heard it already. So you've inherited two Batman here too. You've got Tim Burton's Batman, you've got Zack Snyder's Batman, and I'm curious, if you were to take your own Batman in a brave and bold direction, what kind of spin would you want to put on that character? Andy Muschietti literally responds these following words. Oh, that's, I don't think I can talk to that. ... Yet. Oh, that's, I don't think I can talk to that yet. How else are we supposed to interpret that? Like, oh, I don't think I can talk to that yet. I think, you know, that's a very strong indication that he could be, yeah, like, secured for that. Like, he's 100% had conversations with James Gunn about it, I believe. I can't confirm that. It also makes sense. Say what you will about the Flash movie, whether you've seen it already at a fan screening or if you've still yet to see it, apparently it is a good product. James Gunn loves it. It is not remotely surprising that he'd want to tap Andy as a director for his future DCU. And so, you know, you're kind of like looking at all the projects you have that have been announced so far. And when doing that, it seems to be that the pin has been dropped on the Brave and the Bold with Batman, Damian Wayne, the larger Bat family. So what I want to put down to you guys now is A, I guess, what do you think of this quote? I think it's very telling. But B, with it being a strong indication that, you know, I can't speak to that yet, how would you feel about Andy Muschietti directing The Brave and the Bold? Maybe you've seen a few of his movies, but maybe you still need to be convinced after watching the Flash movie, but do you think it can translate onto Batman characters? I think I'm quite optimistic about it. I do think he can tell very heartfelt stories. Apparently The Flash gets very heartfelt, kind of obviously with the story that it surrounds with Barry's mother. So handling Batman, Damian Wayne, the kind of journey that Damian will go on with Batman, it could be quite a good cocktail here. So let me know what you think down in the comments. Okay, so up next, before we get to the whole very breaking-esque news of the Batman Part 2 that just dropped today, let's talk very briefly about Mike Flanagan's Clayface movie. I feel like every other week there's something new to talk about with this. So this all came about, I believe, like his response, because we had another DCEU Leaks verified sources section that I went over in a previous News Roundup video. It yet again contained another update about Clayface. Now, don't forget that a while ago, not too long ago, back in March, Deadline put out the report that Mike Flanagan pitches a pick on Clayface to Warner Brothers DC. He then said after that, regarding Clayface, this news is entirely speculative. When or if something like that ever becomes real, I promise I'll tell you guys. Now, with this most recent Clayface development popping up again, James Gunn then put out that tweet that we covered in the previous News Roundup video saying, I've been hearing all these leaks. I'm not really going to respond to things as much anymore. One of them may be half true, and we were wondering which one that is. And as a result of those DCEU Reddit leaks or whatever, we've had a Twitter user saying, hey, sir, could you tell us if your Clayface movie is really happening? Because a lot of journalists are reporting it again. And he responded a few days ago. I've already commented about this, and it's interesting wording. I don't want to get into conspiracy territory, but he says, and at the moment, no development is happening anywhere. I am a member of the WGA, and I am on strike. Interesting. So what I kind of do agree with here is when the Home of DCU page re-reported this saying, Mike Flanagan's comment, we have Big Screen Leaks here, who's a bit of a scooper on Twitter, saying this isn't really debunking anything. He's just saying that work on the project isn't happening now. Doesn't mean it wasn't happening before. Hint, it was. The trades didn't report this for nothing, referring to the Deadline report back in March and the other trades saying the same thing. but apparently nothing was really happening. But it is possible that even though Mike Flanagan said back in March that I would tell you guys if something was really happening, it could have been so early talks, and we still didn't know if it's for the DCU Chapter 1 Gods and Monsters or for the Matt Reeves Batverse. That was never confirmed. I kind of do low-key agree with what Big Screen Leaks is saying here, because with his quote, you never know. This Clayface thing keeps popping up, and not just from scoopers, but from major trades. And it could just be so early on. But when he says, I've already commented about this, but at the moment, no development is happening anywhere, of course, because of the writer's strike. But does that mean that it wasn't on the table before? In some way, shape, or form? We're just going to have to wait and see. And we're going to have to wait and see if it's a DCU Clayface, which would lean more into the fantastical Clay blob monster, or if it's a part of, as previously reported, Clayface having something to do with either one of the mainline Batman movies. But if it's Mike Flanagan related and he's directing it, well, then it wouldn't be the main movie. It would be a spin-off thing, as per reported by The Hollywood Reporter quite a while back now with regards to Matt Reeves' Batverse spin-off film. So that's the update about that. But for the final story today, and maybe some of you skipped to this, we have heard some news about the Batman Part 2. And lots of people have been asking me about this with regards to the writer's strike and if the Batman could be affected. And I haven't really spoken about it till now because I've been waiting. And it seemed like it could be. And now we have an update that Robert Pattinson's The Batman Part 2 filming delayed to 2024. Now, I don't think they give a source for this, but I did my own investigations, and it seemed kind of obvious anyway that this could actually be a thing happening. So I went to Production Weekly, and this is a legitimate website where you pay quite a hefty subscription fee to get in the know about the, entertainment industry and all the productions and what's going on with it. And this is how we found out that the Batman Part 2 was filming in November 2023. So it was only going to be a few months away. And now on the latest issue, June 1st, you can see updates for the Batman Part 2. So this is where these articles are probably coming from, because they probably can download this issue because they have a subscription, etc., and it probably shows that it's been delayed until 2024. Now, let's dig into this deeper, because when in 2024? The article goes as follows. The filming for Robert Pattinson's The Batman Part 2 has been delayed and is no longer starting in November 2023 as planned previously. The delay might be related to the writer's strike, as all the writers' activities have been paused, and the writers of the film, Matt Reeves and Mattson Tomlin, are also actively part of the strike. Which is true. Like, he's been posting pictures of him and Mattson Tomlin out there. So here's the kicker. The Batman Part 2 is now expected to begin filming in March 2024 in London, UK. But as they say here, and I agree, however, this delay is unlikely to have any impact on the release of the sequel. Batman Part 2 is currently scheduled to release on October 3rd, 2025, which is still more than 2 years from now, giving an ample amount of time to complete the production. So, obviously, it wouldn't be 2 years if it started filming March 2024. But here's the good news about the release date. I don't think the fact that because the Batman Part 2 has had its filming delayed from November 2023 to March 2024, I don't think it will have much of an effect on the release date of October 2025, if at all. And the reason for that is, for example, the Batman Part 1, or just the Batman, if you will, it finished filming in March of 2021. And then, as we all know, the movie released in March of 2022, a year afterwards. So with the delay right now, being delayed from November 2023 to March 2024, it's not releasing March 2025 a year later like the first film did. It's releasing all the way into October. Now, I do want to say one thing. The filming of the Batman Part 1 had so many interruptions with COVID. We even had a kick-ass trailer at DC Fandom when they had only shot around 30% of the film. So with those months and months and months off filming because production was halted, they were probably working on visual effects in the downtime when production was shut down for the first movie, thus allowing them, when they finished filming in March 2021, to get the whole movie done in just a year's time of post-production before it released in March 2022. And that's not the case here. What we've got here is that they're not even starting production until March 2024. But the reason why I'm still optimistic about it is because even though they were going to start filming in November 2023 and now it's March 2024, at least from what we understand it right now, it still isn't releasing March 2025. They've still got April, May, June, July, August, September, and then October. 7 months. Well, you know, a little bit before then, because they'd want the movie done before October. So I don't think they will have to shift the release date from October 3rd. Maybe a couple of weeks if we're lucky. But it does seem that when they start filming in March 2024, that they can spend months and months filming it, not nearly as long as the 18 months needed for the first movie because of all the COVID delays. So it will be done, like shooting will be done in a much quicker time for the second movie. And then the post-production, well, they've got a lot more time because the release date isn't until October 2025. So yes, The Batman Part 2 has been delayed from November this year until March next year in 2024, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the movie itself, the release date, will be delayed to like something like 2026. No, it should still be okay. But the thing that kind of does suck, but selfishly here, because I do fully support the writer's strike, is that if it did start filming in November this year, like originally planned, we would have got a lot more peeps out of production. Matt Reeves would have been posting some teasers. Maybe if they were filming on location, we would have seen something there, but maybe that would have been saved into the new year. Again, they might have just been shooting in the studio in November, but we would have still undoubtedly got some teasers, like when Matt Reeves posted those pictures of the Batmobile and Robert Pattinson, as I said, the mayor dead with the tape around his face. We would have got that. We would have learned so much more. Now we might not learn about Part 2 major stuff for quite a while. So some good news in how the actual release date, it should be fine in my opinion, but as for like advanced teasers, yeah, we might have to wait quite a while longer. I'm still optimistic that we'll hear some casting news in the fall to keep us tided over a little bit. But yeah, let me know what you think. Sorry for rambling so much about that, but I just wanted to make it very clear what this delay means, how it shouldn't impact the release date, the differences between the first movie's filming and this movie's filming, the post-production that should be required, and how that shouldn't really bleed into the actual release date of the film. And if we're lucky, you know, if the writer's strike finally gets resolved at some point, it might not have to wait until March to start filming. This is a current date, but it can still change again. Hopefully not delayed again, but maybe even shifted sooner. They could start shooting in February, and we might hear about that in 3 or 4 months' time. But anyway, guys, that wraps up this video. But let me know what you think of all of today's stories that we've covered. There's a lot to discuss, but leave me a like on this video if you did enjoy the Rambly News Roundup edition this week. Do consider subscribing for more videos just like this. But as always, guys, I'm going to love you and leave you. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you people of the DC universe in the next video. Goodbye.